A couple minutes late. Hopefully we're getting raring. People are joining in maybe. Okay. Oh, I see. There, we got some people coming in now. Excellent. And sorry for being a little tardy. Fix my mic, it's moving on me. There we go. Okay. Just let in the chat, how's everything going? And we got Mr. Cole. Dr. Bob's in the house. Matthias, how's it going? Dr. Bob, excellent. Everything's cool. Matthias, I saw your DM. Haven't gotten around to it. DMs are my last priority. I've told many people many times, DMs are the worst way to get a hold of me. So yeah, either post publicly or shoot in an email, because DMs, I don't have much control over tracking things. So if you want help from me, don't DM me. So it's tough, I know. Sometimes I feel bad, but I have to draw lines. So I help a lot of people. And so, yeah, DMs are not a great place to get help. They're great if I'm like, send me a link, send me a login, DM me that stuff, because obviously you don't want that to be public. But, yeah. Thanks. Okay, so I have to admit, I had no clue what I was going to do on the live stream today. And then we had a post from a user. Who was it? I can picture his face. And bringing it up now. Abramo. I'm probably butchering that. I have a feeling that's not how you pronounce that. But so he made a post that he's having problems styling text. And yeah, there are a couple like 2-minute videos. I think it is literally 2 minutes. Like I think the video is like 2 minutes on styling text and the difference between the two different ways of styling text and how to do it. Okay. In that video, I just show you how to do it. I don't necessarily go into why that is. Okay. Because I was getting barraged by, people wanted short, concise videos. And that video is very short, very concise. I don't explain why, I just show you do it. And so I figured why not do a video today on styling text and why things are the way they are. Because I do like explaining why, right? I think it's important so that we know why things are done the way they're done. Okay? Well, I got some eye here. Styling text can be a horror. It really isn't, though. Like we're hopefully today we'll solve that. It really isn't a horror. So yeah. I guess without further ado, I guess we just start sharing. Why not? Sweet. Okay. Let's go. Boop. And excellent. My screen. I gotta reset my thing up. Oh, before I forget here. Okay, I got a couple new little tools here that we're gonna try to remember to use. So I got this. Let's see how that works. Where does it show? Oh no, how come it's not working? It should show up like I was not working. Oh man, doesn't work. Oh, here, I want to display it down. Let's do it down here. I don't want to display it up there. Dang it, it doesn't work. Okay, never mind. I'll have to play with it another day. Ah, there it goes. Oh, it's being covered up by the chat, though. Hold on 1 second. Settings. Let's move it to the middle. How about that? Excellent. Now you can see a little. If I use any key combinations, you'll be able to see that on the live stream. Hopefully, you guys are seeing that. Okay. And then lastly, let's see this little bad boy here. Okay. And I think it's just all right. Cool. All right. And 1 second. Let me make it so that I can easily access this. Okay. There we go. Okay, cool. So now I got this. Look, I got this cool little thing. And if I want to zoom in on something, I just hold down hold down the option key. You get like a nice magnifying thing. Hey, cool. Excellent. Hopefully that will make some good times here. 2 new things I got. Picked them up last week. Thought they'd be fun for a live stream. And I guess here, and then I also have here. Let's do this too. If I ever need it, I don't know. Maybe it's too much. Sorry, new toys. Why not? All right, here, let's move this up here so we can always see it. Those 2. All right, and then so here, and then I got this bad boy, which is like kind of cool. I could draw like arrows and stuff on the desk, and I don't know. How do you turn that off though? Okay. Oh, whatever. Oh, a couple cool new stuff. Anyway, here, let's disable that for right now. I don't know. Let me guys know. Is this like good to have this on all the time so you can kind of see where my arrow is? Just let me know in the chat. Kind of interesting stuff. Okay. Let's start. By the way, let's just get started here. Okay, let's open up Sandbox here. What is the tool? It was a bundle on the App Store. This one is called Cursor Pro, and the other one is called Keystroke Pro. They're from the same developer. You can like buy them in a bundle on the App Store. Save a little bit, like save a few bucks. So yeah, they're really good. I've actually had Keystroke Pro for a little while. But I don't know, for some reason I didn't work as well. They released a new version and it works really, really well. So, hopefully, yeah, I like it. Okay, cool. Let me guys know if you like this, if this cursor thing is useful, so you guys can follow my cursor a little bit. It was kind of interesting. Like I can be like, whoop, see this button or this setting. That's kind of cool. I think. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. You saw my post. I am working on a new. I did finish up a new stack. I was working actually on OEmbed this morning. Shipped an OEmbed this morning, literally like 2 minutes before this live stream started, which is why I was a little bit late. A little bit of news on OEmbed. If any of you guys have it, you know that Facebook removed OEmbed support for Facebook posts and Instagram posts, which kind of sucked. But this year they added a new API. And so I was playing around seeing how I could add that back in. And unfortunately, like they made it like insanely difficult just to get OEmbed. And it requires like you authenticating your account, and then it's a really complex setup just to get Instagram and Facebook post embeds. So yeah, I haven't decided what I'm gonna do with that. I mean, it is a lot of work, an immense amount of work. So it'd probably be like a paid upgrade for OEmbed, just to get Instagram and Facebook posts, because it literally is like a lot of work. And doing authentication with Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that, like it's very complex. So I used to do it with QuickPix way back in the day, if you remember QuickPix, but it was just oh man, it was very difficult. So yeah, I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to do that. If I do it, probably be a paid upgrade, just because it's so much work to add those features. So let me know, either on Weaverspace or in the chat right now if you think that would be interesting. I'll kind of keep an eye on that. I did send out an update though. I upgraded some of the libraries. It does require PHP 7.4 and WrapWeaver 8.9. So since RapidWeaver 8.9 actually ships with PHP 7.4 now, I can actually upgrade to some of those libraries that are behind it, because the newer versions of the OEmbed stuff requires PHP 7.4. So there we go. Okay. Really quick in the chat, do I want to do a 30-second demo of this new Magnifico stack that I have coming, or do I want to keep the suspense alive and not show you guys what it is? Okay. Okay, cool. So, but while we do that, let's set up some text stuff here. Oh, why not? Okay, I'll give you a quick demo of what this thing is, just because we have it. Okay. So, loop. Oh, let me turn off this Cursor Pro thing, because it's definitely interfering with this. All right. So, Magnifico is a image loop stack. You can either have it, go on hover and follow your mouse cursor, or it can be a drag and drop like over here. Okay. What's kind of cool about it? Some really finite details that are pretty slick is you can control them via buttons. So you can like dynamically grow and shrink. You can also dynamically zoom in, right? So you can change the zoom, and so that you can do that either with buttons. You can show, you can hide the loop, you can toggle the loop, and you can also do it with keyboard shortcuts. So while this is going, I can actually hit the arrow key and the up key and dynamically change. So you don't need to have external buttons. You can just use keyboard to change the size of the loop and shrink and, do all that kind of stuff. All dynamically. So yeah, and it works on both. So if I'm actively using this one, I can grow it, make it bigger, and then move it around. So yeah, pretty cool. Okay, let's go ahead and I'm going to create a new page. Stacks. Okay. Okay, there we go. Yeah, let's add site styles. Just for fun, I'm going to I'm gonna slim down site styles a little bit so it gets rid of the things that we don't necessarily need out of the box. We'll leave color palettes on just so we can because that's part of styling. Okay. And then let's just set up a couple little things. Let's just add some padding on that. Okay, I'm going to show you two different ways to create the same exact text content. Okay? And I think that's really going to help us out, that here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and add a header stack. Okay, and I'm just going to leave it as this is my header. Okay, and then we're going to copy paste that, and then we want a paragraph below that. Now, this is a header stack, and I've showed this a couple times, but you can use the header stack for more things than just a header. Okay, you can actually use it for a paragraph. So I set the in the header stack, you just go ahead over into the settings. Okay, and you can set the size to be paragraph. Okay, pretty cool, right? So we have paragraph, all the H1s. You can do a couple other things, right? It's essentially a very simple text stack, okay? But allows you just to define a paragraph, a header, a something, okay? But I did call it header, okay? Because that's what I think most people are going to use it for, okay? So let's go ahead and here, I'm going to add some lorem text, okay? And let's do a couple paragraphs, okay? And let's just go ahead here, and I'm going to do up, and then we'll do a couple more. All right, there we go. I have some text. Okay, and let's go ahead and preview that. Oh, let's just use RapidWeaver preview. How about that? Preview that. There we go. I have my header and some text. Okay, pretty simple. Okay, and if we look at the, let's look at some other ways to do that. Okay, we're actually going to look at 3 ways total, actually, to be honest with you. Okay, so this is one way to do it, but actually, I'll show you a different way that I would expect most people to do it. Okay, So let's go implementation number 2. Okay. Essentially, instead of these header stacks, because most people probably don't know if they want to do a paragraph, they can use a header stack. I can agree. It was kind of a edge case scenario sort of thing, but it is a way. This is probably how most people, I would expect, are probably going to do it. So they would have a header, and then under here they can have text, right? So let's go ahead and just delete this. Okay, and we have our multiple paragraphs in here. Boom. Okay. And okay. Here's another way to do it. Now let's preview this. Let's go ahead and let's do this VG secondary. Okay, just so that we can see. Okay, so here's our first section. Okay. And then here's our second one. Okay, again, this one just uses the header stack. This one uses header stacks for the headers, and then paragraphs for the paragraphs. Okay. This is probably how I'll admit, when I was envisioning people using Foundation 6, this is probably the way I envisioned most people doing it. Okay. Header, and then for paragraphs and bullets and stuff like that, you'd throw in a text. Okay. However, there is another way to accomplish all of this. Okay. So let's go into the third way. Okay. And let's get rid of this background so we can, there we go. Okay. And this is not even using a header stack at all. It's just using just text. Okay. So let's go ahead and type in, that was a header 3. This is my header. Okay. And then we're going to copy, paste that right in. We don't need this. We don't need that. So in this example, okay, I did all of it within one text stack because the text stack does support Markdown. And guess what? You can do headers in Markdown just as easy as you could do paragraphs of text. Okay. So let's preview this just so we can see that it is identical. Okay. So here we have a header. Okay. Here I did it all with header stacks. Definitely an edge case. Okay. I'll be honest. This is actually how kind of Foundation 1 did it, even though I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole, but there were some not so great ways of how paragraphs worked in Foundation 1. But we made it work. Okay. So here we have this. Now the drawback of this is, individual text, individual paragraphs need to be individual stacks, right? So like if I were to, just an example, I'm going to go ahead and type in a new line in here. And you see in this text, okay, I have 2 distinct paragraphs. Okay, I'm going to click OK on that. And let's preview again. Now, but on the page, I don't have 2 distinct paragraphs. Okay, it's just a single paragraph. And that's because doing this method, you can only have one paragraph in there. Okay, you can only have, doesn't matter how many new lines you add in, it's going to be a paragraph. Okay, just to let you know how that works. Just to make things look nicer when we go further down, I'm going to put that back the way it was. Okay. So again, here we have individual headers and individual paragraphs. Okay. And then in this case here, I'm using headers. Okay. A header stack for my header. And then the text stack here, because this is Markdown. Okay. Again, the text stack uses Markdown. And in Markdown, when I add new line characters like this, it actually creates separate paragraphs for us. That's because of Markdown. And then further down here, just to take the Markdown example even farther, here, obviously with Markdown, we can create headers, multiple paragraphs, and whatnot. Now, for fun, okay, I want to explain the differences between these setups. And this is very important for when we style things, okay? Because of the way CSS works. So let's look at this. We're going to go into the dev inspector, okay? And I'm not even going to worry about styles right now. And let's pump this up a little so we can see everything. Okay. Now, hopefully this doesn't scare anybody. We're not going to do anything horrible or crazy in here. Okay, I just want to show you the examples. So here is my first example. Okay, if you notice in here, this is my first example. And this div container contains the header, 2 paragraphs, a header, and 2 paragraphs. Okay. Again, so here is the overall container. It's the column. Okay, this cell, small 12, medium auto, that is the column. That's our one column. Okay. And notice directly inside that one column, okay, is the headers and all my text content. Okay. And if I had put in classes in any of those, the classes would show up here. I didn't add any classes. Okay. Pretty simple. Okay. Now let's go ahead and look at this example. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to inspect this bad boy. Okay. And if we look here, okay, this is the one column that it's inside, the same exact setup. We had a one column. And if we look inside here, okay, the setup of how the content is structured is quite different. Okay, so directly in the one column, we have our headers just like we did before. Okay, and then here I have a div that says class of text. Okay, now what's that? If we look inside there, that contains the 2 paragraphs. Okay, so here I have text, and inside that text, I have paragraphs. A little bit different, because before, if you remember, this text container didn't exist. Okay, these paragraphs were directly beneath the H3. Okay, so here, H3 again, and below that we have our 2 paragraphs that are inside the text container. Okay, so that's the difference. Okay, so let's look at our third example. Hopefully this will look familiar to the last example we just looked at. So here we have, so here's our one column. Okay, and inside of that one column, I have a text container. Again, that's the text stack. And inside that text stack, we have our content. H3, 2 paragraphs, and H3 and 2 paragraphs. So this is a very important differentiation. Okay? Why, when we add a text stack, okay, it adds one layer of things. Okay, it adds one layer, a div, that div with a class of text. Okay, and the reason for that is, Foundation uses classes to style things. There's other ways, but the default way is to use a class. Okay. And in Markdown, okay, when I do Markdown, I can't add a class to this header. Okay, so in Markdown's really awesome. I love it, but there are limitations to it, because when I'm typing out a Markdown here, a header, okay, I can't add a class to style that header special, okay, or I can't add a class to this paragraph. So me as the developer, when I was designing this entire system, I said, okay, well, Markdown has this limitation. Markdown's really cool. It gives us very clean HTML. It does. It is awesome. Okay. Especially with just raw text, like up here. You can just type text how you expect, and you get multiple paragraphs. Okay, so for someone who never wants to learn Markdown, okay, in terms of like this little header syntax down here, this syntax right here with the little 3 hashtags, if you don't want to learn that, use the text stack for paragraphs only. And you're good. Okay. But again, there's no way of, if we wanted to style these paragraphs in some sort of special way, there's no way to add a class to that specific paragraph. But we can to the text stack. Okay. So for example, let's look at this second example here that uses the Markdown just for the paragraphs. Okay. I can go ahead and type in my class just for example here. Okay, on the second paragraph. Let's preview that. Okay, so if we go ahead and inspect this, okay, you'll see that now the text container that contains that text has the class of my class. Okay, however, if we go to and add a class to the header, okay, let's go ahead and add my header to this particular header here. Okay, and I added it to this particular one here. Okay, if we look in this example, we'll see that this header, okay, you see when I click on it, it highlights it above. Okay, we have this H3 has a class of my header. Okay, and this text container that's below it has the class of my class. Maybe I should have done my text. Okay, but yeah, you get it. So in this example, when I add a class to the header, it's added directly to the header. However, when we add a class to a text stack, it's not added directly to the text. It's added to the parent of the text. Okay, it's added to this wrapper, this container. Okay. So let me know. Hopefully, some of this isn't confusing. We'll see why this is important soon. Okay, but I wanted to show before we even got into styling, what is the difference? Okay. Now, further up, if we go to the very top of this demo, where I used the header stack for paragraphs. Similarly, if I added my para to this very first paragraph, okay, guess what? This class is going to get added directly to the paragraph. We scroll up. I believe it was this one here. Okay, here we go. Here is the paragraph. Okay, and if we look, it has the class of my para, which is what I just typed. Okay, so in this example, the class is getting added directly to that paragraph and only that paragraph. Okay, so that's pretty much the backstory here. Okay, again, the tech stack is a little bit different in that because we're using Markdown for our benefit, we can't add classes directly to our text content, but we have the ability to add it to a wrapper, okay, a quote-unquote wrapper. Okay, that's not Tupac. It's a wrapper, as in a text wrapper. Okay. Okay, so now let's start styling. There are a couple ways to style things. Okay. And let's do color. Okay, at first. Well, actually, no. Let's talk about the default styles for. Actually, you know what I want to do is I want to remove all those little classes that I did to kind of show you. I'm going to remove all of those. I think I had it. Did it add it here? No, did it here. I'm going to remove all of these just so everything's nice and clean. Someone asked, can you add a wrapper and put a span element? Yes, you can. Markdown does support HTML. Okay. I won't go into that particular example right now, but yes, you can. Okay. So default styles. So site styles without adding any swatches at all, okay, without adding a single swatch, we get a lot of flexibility with our colors. Okay. And if you notice here, the text colors area right here, we have the ability to have header color, subheader color, small text, text, links, and link hover. And then we have alternate, okay, alternate things. So we have header alt, subheader alt, all that jazz. Okay. So let's go ahead and we can configure these. So let's say I wanted my header color to be dark blue. Okay. And subheader and small, those are options within the header stack. So if you're curious here, you can make a header a subheader. So it's just a way of kind of defining a slightly different style for that, as well as you can add a small segment to a header, okay, which will add like for example, it adds like a little small segment here, okay, and you can define the size and the color of this little small segment, okay. So that's what small and subheader are, okay. They're only available within the header element, unless you type in the HTML directly somewhere else, but we won't get into that. Don't want to confuse you too much. Okay. So back into site styles. Again, I colored all my headers blue, and let's do our text. Let's make it like a darker blue here. All right, we're gonna do really dark blue, okay, for our text. Oops, that did it take it? Yeah, it did. Okay, and then we have alternate colors. I want to show you what those mean as well. So let's do for our alternate colors, we're gonna make our headers kind of a darker, a deep red, okay, and then we're gonna make our text. We're gonna go even a deeper red, okay, just for fun. Okay, so I didn't do any science in terms of those colors. I just kind of picked colors that would hopefully not look horrible. And you can also do link colors. I'm not going to worry about that right now. Okay, we don't have any links in this example, but it's the same concept. Okay, you can define whatever link colors you want. So now if I preview this page, we'll see that the text is blue. Okay, if we want to inspect that, okay, and look at the styles, okay, we will see that the color over here. So if you notice, if I select on that element, okay, and then I look over in the elements tab over to computed, we can see that there's our color. Okay, it's that dark blue. And if I click on a paragraph and I look at the color, it is also a much darker blue, almost black. Okay, but it is our dark blue. Okay, now how do I apply the alt colors? Okay, so the alt colors are something that was an idea that came from Foundation 1, and I still think it's great. For pages like this, if you notice here, like we tend to have alternating sections, right? This is a white section. This is my gray section. This is another white section. So this gray section we can call like our alternate text. Okay. So how do we use that? Okay. And so if you notice on this container, I added a class of BG secondary. Okay. But let's also add an alt class. Alt. That's it. So in the class for the container for this entire section, I added the alt class, ALT, alt. Okay. And if you notice inside there, the text is now red instead of blue. Okay. The headers are slightly, a red, and the text is a darker red. Okay. So that's out of the box, without doing anything, that's how we can control the default areas of text throughout the entire page. Okay, and just for fun here, let's go ahead and do some let's just do a couple links here. Oh, this one's because this is a paragraph, to do a link in here. Again, another benefit of Markdown is kind of much easier links. Here we have to do we have to actually type out HTML. And that kind of hijacks my keyboard navigation, doesn't it? Okay. You know what? I want to make that stop typing if I type in letters. 1 second. It's kind of driving me crazy here. I thought it was only show only if a modifier key is used. There we go. Okay. Now if I type text, it's not going to show. It's only if I do a modifier key. Cool. Okay, so there is a link. Let's go ahead and down here, we're going to add another link, kind of in the same area. Just add a link in there. Oh, I forgot that's how that works. Okay. There we go. Okay, just so we can see some text colors. Let's go ahead and here, we'll even customize these text colors a little bit. So the link here, we'll leave the default link there, and over here we'll make the text green. And on hover, we're gonna make it darker green. All right, so let's preview that. So there we have our default link color, and scroll down, and there's our alternate link color. Okay, just so we can see all the different colors. Cool. So that, again, that's a way of defining our default text. And then for sizes, here's all of our default sizes. Okay. So we have different sizes for H1 all the way through H6. Okay. You have text and button color sizing. Okay. And we have different sizing for small, medium, and large. And for buttons, these are for text and headers, these are done by breakpoint. Okay, so for on small devices, you have 16. On medium devices like tablets, you'll get 16. And then on large, you get 16 as well. Let's say here, for example, you wanted to make it larger on desktop devices, you can make it 18. Okay. Actually, you know, some people say on small devices, you need it bigger so that it's easier for people to read. We'll see. But yeah, play around with that. Again, mobile, tablet, desktop. Small, medium, large breakpoints. Buttons, however, don't go by breakpoint because buttons are normally like a fixed size. These are done by the size of the button. So if you have an extra small button, this is the size of the text. A small button, medium button, large button. Okay? So that is how we control the default text size across our entire page. Now, I should note that while all the definitions here are done in pixels, okay, Site Styles kind of does the smarts in the background and converts the units to rem on the published page. Okay, rem is great because it's a more responsive unit. It just means basically on mobile, 1 rem on desktop is 16 pixels, and 1 rem on mobile is 14 pixels, I believe, or 12 pixels. I forget now. Okay. And the reason for that, it's important because a lot of times with mobile, we have our phones closer to our faces. We don't need the larger text. Okay. So that responsive text sizing is handled by the we let the browser decide kind of what the base font size is. Okay. So there we go. Other things, we have some list styles here, as a lot of people don't realize that as well. Okay, but we're not going into that right now. Okay. So, how do we deviate from these? So I think you can do a lot with just these default styles. Okay. So again, normal things. Then we have these alternate sections of colors. Okay. And then we have alternate sections. You know, this is our regular section. Okay. But let's say you wanted a third section of text. Okay. So you wanted another thing that had text colors even different. Okay. So we can add a text colors swatch. Okay. Text colors. And if you notice, this text colors has all the same settings as we had up here. Okay. So let's go ahead and make this. We'll go in for Chris here. We'll do an orange theme. Okay, and we'll do text orange and then darker. Just gonna keep things simple. Okay, and why not for we don't need to do links. Okay, so here I'm changing my header color and my text color, and we're gonna make this section called orange alt, I guess. Okay. So now I have a class of orange alt that whenever I apply that to, all the text in that particular area will get these colors. So let's take this orange alt. I'm going to go down to this last section here. I'm going to add it to the container. You can add it to the container, you can add it to the one column, or you can add it to the text stack. Doesn't really matter. Okay, because that text colors are assigned essentially to everything inside of it. Okay, so let's go ahead and just to show you, I can add it to the text stack, and voila, we see right there in edit mode, it's changed. I can add it to the container, and as you'll see, voila. I would in this example, since we're kind of creating these sections, it kind of makes sense to say everything in this container, this is my orange section. Okay, and just to preview it, scroll down, and there's our orange section. Okay, any questions on that? I see a couple other unrelated questions getting popped up. Maybe I'll try to get those towards the end. Okay, but I'm trying to stay kind of on point here. Okay, so there we go. That is, again, the first method of customizing text. Okay, and I think that's the easiest method. Okay, again, you just take this, and I can assign this directly to a header actually if I wanted to. Like so, this is the most flexible way to associate colors. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to copy this. We're in this section here. I'm going to go ahead on just this one header. I'm going to plop on orange. Okay, and then just this first paragraph, I'm going to plop on orange. Okay, and what we'll notice is that if we go there, these two sections here, okay, they're different colors because I overrode those two specific things in this section. Okay, so again, the first method, especially if you're just getting started, use these. Okay, even if you're not, if you don't want to, you don't need to customize link color. It's okay. Like for example, if I'm applying this color to a header, the header doesn't have a link, right? Or even this paragraph that I applied it to, it doesn't have any links inside of it. Okay, so I don't necessarily need to set all these colors. I only need to set the colors that I need for this class. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. All right, let's go ahead and let me get a drink of water here. Okay, I'm gonna remove these that I just added. Okay, what are some other ways that we can do? Okay, so we learned about text colors, and I should note that inside site styles we have this alt class. Okay, that has a second set of colors. Well, guess what that is? All that is the same thing as adding a swatch here, and it just has the class set to alt. That's all it is. Okay. And just another side note of the alt styles. Okay. Let's say if you like here on this particular one where I'm using the alt styles, I used a utility class to apply a background. Okay. If you wanted all backgrounds in the alt sections to have a particular color, right? You just go background, okay, and you apply the alt class, and then I don't know, let's pick like a swatch color, and let's choose the secondary color, and there we go. So now it's basically whenever I add the alt class for something, it gets that secondary background color, and then it gets all my text styles as well. So pretty cool. Okay, and again, that's pretty simple. Just use a background swatch. Assign anything that you assign to the alt class can kind of augment that default alt class that's built into Foundation. So pretty useful there. Okay. I was a little tangent there. So what are other ways to style colors? Okay, we haven't even gotten into sizes yet. We're just gonna work on colors, continue working on colors. The next thing is font colors. Okay, the font color swatch. And this was created before we only had the text color swatch. Okay, and while I deleted all those orange colors, didn't I? Okay, that's fine. Before we only had text colors, and you know me, I like to try to be as efficient as possible. So for the example of, let's say I wanted to customize this one header color, I showed you that we could go ahead and let's do like red header. Oops, if I could type, that would be great. Okay, let's do red header, and the header is red. Okay, and if I go here, I can type in the class, I can do red dash header. And voila. So here I have a text swatch that's called red header. I set the header colors to be red. Okay, and there we go. Okay, now funny enough, if I set the red header to this swatch, okay, or to this text stack, it's not red. The text is not red here. Okay, and that's because in our text color swatch, whoops, what did I click? Click the resource button. We set headers to be red and text to be black. So when I added the red headers class to this, which is a paragraph. Okay, remember this is set to be a paragraph. Paragraphs are set to be, or text are set to be black. Right? So that's why this is. Does that make sense? Okay. So I wanted the ability to, let's say I wanted to have a red text. Okay, a red text font color. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's clear that off. Okay. Let's say I wanted to set this red text. So let's do red dash text, or we'll do red color. Red color. Okay. And let's go ahead and set that to be a red. Okay. There we go. So I set this particular swatch. Whenever I use the class red color, I set it to be red. And this is, again, this is going to be something that, this is using straight CSS that says assign the red color to something. Okay, so let's go ahead and test this a few places. So I add it to the header. Okay. We get red. That's what we would expect. Okay. And if I add it to the header, guess what? It's red. Because, again, this behaves differently than this. Okay. This class needs to be applied specifically to that item. Okay. It needs to be applied specifically to text. Now, this is where I think it gets confusing for some people, is when we go down to this section where we're using a text stack, and they apply font color red, and they apply this red color swatch, and their text does not turn red. This is where people start getting frustrated. Okay? And we have a font color. We said anything that has the class of red color gets the color of red. Okay. I added red color here. Why is this not red? And that all goes down to what we were talking about earlier in the conversation today, talking about how these various stacks and how the content is structured. Okay. So if we look at this red header here, okay, let's shrink that. I can't shrink that. Okay. We look at this header, we'll see that it has the red color is red. Okay. Same thing in this paragraph. This paragraph explicitly has the red color class, and it gets the red color. Now let's scroll down the page, and I believe it was this paragraph here. Here. Okay. So here we have the text container that has the red color, and we see that it's getting applied to the container color red. So this container, we are requesting that the text in this container be the color red. However, inside of that, we have individual paragraphs. And if we look at this paragraph, we'll see that in the theme, we're explicitly setting a color to paragraphs. And that color is set to whatever the text color is inside Site Styles. So in this case, even though the parent container says it should be red, we have an explicit rule in our theme that is setting paragraphs to use the text color, which in this case is kind of a very deep red. So because we're kind of overriding that rule, we're setting red, but then inside of it we have a rule explicit for this paragraph, so it's going to win. So if I were to disable this rule from the theme, we'll see that it does get the red font. Because I disabled that CSS rule. But you can't disable the CSS rule. Okay? With a swatch. Okay, what you'd have to do is set a specific rule for inside of the text. Now, the easiest thing to do is, if we wanted this to be red, is just to use the text color swatch. And then we can set that to be red as well. Okay? And if we set that to be red color, well, guess what? Now it's red. Okay? Because the way that this text color swatch does, here, let's go ahead and look at that again. Okay? So here, if we look at this now that this is red, we use the text color swatch. Okay? I have text red color, and inside there we have a paragraph. And guess what? That paragraph, it's still set to be color, text color. But what is important is that we use the text color swatch to define what that color is. Okay? And I don't want to confuse you too much, but if we go scroll further down, we see that whenever we're using red color, text color is now this red one. Okay, so there we go. Text color is red. Okay. So, in summary, whenever you are using a text stack and you want to customize the colors of that text stack, do not use the font color swatch. Use the text color swatch. Okay? Now, for fun and maybe a little bit of learning, let's take this to the next level. And let's show you how, if you really wanted to apply this color to a text stack, how could we do that? Okay. And the key here is in the pseudo state, we can apply it to children elements. So by applying red color, so whenever I add a class red color, we want to style all child elements to be red. Okay. So now, when we go and preview this, we'll see that this is now red. And we only have a font color swatch. And the reason that is because I told it red color child elements. Because remember, with a text stack, we have red color is the parent of the text. It's not the text itself. So here when we apply red color, we'll see that the rule is red color and then a little star here, which says basically everything inside of it. So all child elements will get a color of red. Okay. But I think the easiest rule is if you are using a text stack, you should be using the text colors swatch to define its colors. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Okay, now there are some other things that are pretty cool. Okay, so inside the font color swatch, something I didn't talk about is you can define a color. However, you can also define a swatch. Okay, so let's say, for example, I wanted to use this alert color. So instead of defining, you know, a specific red color, let's just call this text dash alert. Okay, here I can go swatch, and then I can either choose a custom name, which if you have the swatch pack, you can define a custom color. Or you can go ahead and just say use alert. So this, when you do swatch color name alert, it's now going to use this color that we've referenced inside of site styles. Okay, so let's test that out. So here we're going to go text alert. Okay, and if I go to this header, I apply that. Guess what? Boom. It gets red. But the same thing happens if I go to this text and I type in this. It's not going to be red. Again, the same exact scenario here, where if I really want to use the font color swatch on a text thing, you'd have to go here and go child elements. Okay, and then it'll work in preview. It doesn't work quite in edit mode because long story edit mode adds a bunch of other content and divs and containers and all kinds of stuff. Okay, that could affect that. But there we go. Hopefully that clears some stuff up with colors. Okay, and I think the answer to most situations is default to use the text color swatch. Okay, unless you know that you're applying styles to a particular element and you want to affect just the color of that one particular element, use the text color swatch. And even then, maybe the text color swatch will work regardless. Okay, so I would say always default to that. There we go. Okay, I guess we'll go into and just a quick note. I think a few weeks ago when I shipped the custom color stuff, I'm not going to review that today, but watch that video on how you can utilize these custom colors. Okay, essentially it was, down here you can define a custom color. I don't even remember where is it here. Custom color. Okay. Oh, let me talk about one other way. Okay, there's actually another way. Let me talk about this custom color thing really quick. So here we go to swatch. You can add a custom color, and here you give it a color name, and then in this custom color, you can define give it a color name, and then you define the color here. Okay, that's all I'm going to talk about with custom colors. If you wanted to learn more about custom colors, watch the live stream from a few weeks ago. Okay, about the Foundation 6.9 live stream. Okay, there is one more way that we can influence colors, okay, of text. Okay, so as I talked earlier, when we added a text color swatch, let's say we only wanted the header color here. Okay, so it, this feels like a waste. All I want to do is define a header color, maybe header and text color, and that's it. The rest of these colors I'm not really using. It's not really a waste, to be honest with you, with code. I mean, it adds like an extra 5 bytes of code or whatever to your page. Okay, it's not the end of the world. But if you really wanted to be an exact, and you knew that you only needed the header color, let's say for example, okay, I can go ahead and go to components and I can do color override. Okay, And in color override, I can, let's do red dash headers again. Okay. And I'm going to override the header color to be red. Okay. So now whatever I apply this class to, anything inside of it is going to overwrite this color name called header. Okay. Think of all these predefined colors up here as like variables. They are. In the background, it uses something called CSS variables. And you can, what's cool about those is you can define the color once and then use it like all throughout things. And it's applied to all children. Okay, which is pretty cool. So here I only want to override the header color for a particular section. I can go ahead and I override the header to be red. Again, this is the same exact thing as going text colors and then changing just the header color here. Okay? It's just with this particular thing, you could define only a single color if you wanted to be really, really, really exact. And what can we do there? Well, let's say here I can go ahead, I can go anywhere and I can say, I want red headers. Whoa, why is that background red? That's kind of crazy. What did I do there? Oh, interesting. All right, in preview, I have no idea why that background turned red. That's really funky. In preview, it's exactly what I expected it to be. What happens if I add it to the column? Oh, interesting. Wonder if that's a really weird one. Huh. Red header. That's really interesting. Not sure what I'm doing there. But, yeah, that's an interesting one. It does make the headers red in preview, which is what I expected. Not sure what's going on with this red background color. That's really funky. Interesting. Just curious if it's the class. Red head. Interesting. Crazy. I'll look into that. Didn't expect that. It's only in edit mode. Not sure what's going on there. But, okay. Just to show you here, what's going on is I overrode the header color just for a particular section. You can apply that to an entire container. And again, it's the same thing as using the text color swatch. It's just allowing you to define one color instead of the entire suite of colors. Okay? So, there we go. Okay. So, now we're going on to text sizes. Okay? And this definitely does, confuse some people. Okay? So here, I think most of the time, excuse me, let me get some water here. Most of the time you're fine with just the default text sizing. You can change all the default sizes here. I don't think a lot of people end up doing that. I think most people end up creating a gazillion little font style swatches to affect the size of things that you probably should be setting here, which is the page-wide defaults. So go into site styles, okay, and change your header colors, your text colors, your button color, your button colors, sizes, okay? So you can customize all the sizes here to your heart's content. There's a lot of customization here. It's very granular. You have custom sizes for all 3 breakpoints, for all headers, and all text. And buttons. Okay? So here, let's say I'm using H3s. Let's say on H3s, I want it to do, I want them bigger, so I want them 48 pixels on desktop, and then 31, and then 19. Let's see what that is, right? There we go. It's now larger on desktop, and as I go smaller, there it shrinks, and it shrinks again. Okay? So that is how we can define the default sizes for our headers. Okay? But there are times where, you need to maybe in a lightbox or some sort of UI component, you want to, customize the size of things. Okay. So if we go to font style, okay, we can apply a class. So let's do my styles. Okay. And let's make everything big. Let's do it like, just so we know it's what we're doing. Let's do it like 50. Okay. Actually, I'm going to go back and move this one back to 31 so we can see the difference a little bit better. Okay. So here we go. I am applying a class of my styles, and it's going to be size 50 pixels. We can also customize the weight, the italics, and we can also adjust the line height. Okay. Same exact way. Right now, we're just going to apply font size, but you can also apply other elements of text styling. Okay, here. But I just applied 50 pixels across the board just to keep things simple. Okay. So let's take this my styles. I'm going to go ahead and on this header, guess what? If I apply my styles to it, if you see right there, it's 50 pixels. Okay. If I have this head, let's go further example down here. If I add it to this text, boom. There we go. Okay. Now, that's a pretty stupid thing, right? Who wants a paragraph that's 50 pixels, right? But just to show you, can be done. Now, in this example here, we have headers and text. If I go ahead and apply 50 pixels, well, what's going on here? Let's have a look. If we look here, the paragraphs are getting set to be 50 pixels, but the headers are still like the default size. What the heck's going on here, right? This makes no sense. Okay? And that's because we've essentially set the default size. Paragraphs inherit font size, okay? But headers don't. Headers have an explicit font size because here in site styles, we explicitly set the headers to a specific size, right? But in site styles, when we set the text size, it's kind of like a global setting for text size. So text size can be inherited, okay? Unlike colors, which we talked about earlier, okay? Colors are not inherited, but sizes are, except for headers, because headers, we explicitly set sizes for every single one. So let's look at this really quick, okay? And it's going to be very similar to what we saw with the colors. So here I have my text container, okay, that has the my styles class, okay, and we see that my styles has a font size of 50 pixels, okay, and this converts it to rem for us, okay. And if we go to a paragraph, okay, and we scroll down, we'll see font size is set to inherit, okay, so it inherits from its parent, okay. But if we, again, here, font size inherit for paragraphs, okay. But if we look at this header, okay, headers have an explicit font size. And not just headers, but H3s have an explicit font size. So H3s have a font size of 31 because that's what we explicitly set it to inside site styles. Again, font size for headers doesn't inherit from its parent. But if you remember earlier, on a header, on this particular header up here, actually it'd actually be on the page, this one is larger. Well, how come this one didn't inherit? Or, it's using the style. Again, for this particular header, since we applied the class directly to the header, it wins. It beats site styles. Okay? Because site styles applies it to all H3s on a page. But then if we then override that with a style for a class, the class will win. Okay, so if we look here, my styles wins with a font size of 50 rem, not 31, which is what's set in site styles. Okay. So, but there are other things that we can do inside font style. Okay. So we can apply things to all elements on a page. So if I wanted, I can go ahead and apply this to all H3s on the page. Okay. Or I can do all H3s within a parent class. Right. So, you know, if we wanted to style, let's say in this example down here, this text container. Okay. Let's delete this because let's say I wanted to affect the headers just within this header stack or within this text stack. Sorry. Okay. What I can do is, does this work like this? Sorry, hold on one second. No, it doesn't. Never mind. Ignore what I just said. Okay. So this in this example, we could do page elements H3. Okay, and this would apply that text style to the class my styles and all H3s on the page. So repeat this now. This font style is now going to be applied to all H3s on a page. Okay. Now, a little hack that, and you can do the same thing. You can select multiple. So if you want to apply this particular setting to multiple things, you can click all these little buttons. Okay, you can definitely do that. Now, a little hack here. What I wanted to do is, let's say I added a class to this text area. Okay, and I call it Hangout. Oops. Okay. And what I wanted to do here is I wanted to apply, let's do Hangout. And I wanted to make all H3s inside Hangout 50 pixels. Just the ones inside Hangout. Okay. So, it's a little kind of hack here, but if I just do space H3 on this Hangout, okay, that's exactly what we want. Okay. Technically, you should go over here to CSS and then type that out. But a little bit of hack, if you want to, you know, be a little specific here, you can do a space H3, and that's essentially the same as doing parent class of Hangout and all H3s inside of it. Okay. A little advanced user tip there. So now, when we look down here, when I have Hangout, we have larger text. Actually, here's a really good example. Earlier on, I taught you about the alt class, right? Remember, the second text area on the page uses the alt class. Let's say I wanted all H3s inside alt to be bigger. Okay, I can just do class alt space H3, and I can then that applies to, there we go, this alternate section here. Okay, has larger text areas. Okay, so a little advanced tip there. Okay. Now you can't do H3 space H4. That will not work. Okay, it only works for one thing. If you wanted to affect multiple, you'd have to go into here, and that way we have to go into a little bit of HTML. Maybe there's an element thing here. Do I have like all headers? No, I don't. Okay, so you'd have to go into CSS, and you could do like .alt H3, comma, oops, alt space H3, comma, .alt space H4, comma, so on and so forth, right? So that's definitely getting into custom CSS, and you have to, you know a little bit of CSS to go into there. Okay, but quick little hack, if you just want to affect like all H3s inside of this area, there's a cool little hack for you there. And it's not just H3s, it could be H5s and so on and so forth. Okay, or you can affect all paragraphs in there just by doing a P. Okay, again, this only works with one element, and it now no longer directly affects the alt tag. It only affects paragraphs inside of alt. Okay, so there we go. Um, okay. Um, having, I might touch base. I'm gonna call it quits there. Actually, here we'll quickly look at Font Pro really quick. I know a lot of you have Font Pro, and I am working on a Font Pro, a version 2 of Font Pro that um basically brings the kind of like the Foundation 6 swatch selectors into there. But with that said, the quickest and easiest way, this custom class, it's the same thing as the classes inside Foundation 6 swatches. So inside Font Pro, when you have the apply font styles to, if you go to class, you can just type in your class name here. Okay. You can also go to page and then affect all H3s and all H5s on the page, just like you did, like I explained earlier. Okay, so the UI here is a little bit different. Actually, I borrowed this, inherited from Font Pro into the Foundation 6 swatches, this UI here. Okay, but I think a lot of times if you want custom CSS selectors, you can do that here as well. Okay, but you're probably going to want to use classes, and then you can also use these page-wide defaults. Okay, so it is very similar, but the UI for this is a little bit different. But the class structure here is just exactly the same. So you can just do Alt and apply your styles here. So if I did size, we'll just do all these size. So we'll do Alt, and then we'll just preview that. We'll see that affects my alt text sizes there. So that's how Font Pro works. It's a little bit different, the settings, because they're the stack's been around a little longer. But the new version will inherit the new swatch type selectors, and with the pseudo elements and all that jazz that we have. Cool. So with that, I think we're done. I think that pretty much goes over. An hour. I took that 2-minute video, literally a 2-minute video, and I did a full explanation of all behind the scenes of text. So hopefully that helped out a little bit. I know there were some quasi unrelated questions. I think I saw a Font Pro question for email. Some of that stuff will work. Font Pro, some of it will work in email, some of it won't. Like bringing in external fonts, that won't work in most email clients. So, Font Pro does work, styles and whatnot. It can work in email. Just do your testing. It's not officially supported. From I can't guarantee that all the styles will work, but you can give it a shot. Okay, some things will work. And bringing in the thing that a lot of people want to do is they want to use like Google Fonts inside their emails, and in most email clients, that straight up will not work. It will work in some, okay? But like Outlook, Gmail, and all that stuff won't work. 100% will not work. So don't expect your emails to look the same with the cool fonts if you want those in your email. If you want a cool font in email, unfortunately, you have to save your text as an image. It's the only way to make sure it looks the same across all email clients. Okay. Hope you guys learned a little bit today. We went behind the scenes on something that was really simple. Again, default, use that text colors swatch. It will work most of the time for what you want. Okay. Don't be confused by the rest of it. So, there we go. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully we'll see some of you on Friday at the Hangouts. And we'll see you next week. If not, take care, everyone. Bye.